it's that time of year again. While we won't be strolling on Hollywood Boulevard, we will be strolling along West Street and Main Street in Annapolis for the 12th Annual Annapolis Film Festival. From April 4th through the 7th, you can enjoy more than 70 films, Q&A sessions with filmmakers, panels, coffee chats, and yes, plenty of parties as well. Tickets and passes are on sale right now at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. But right now, we're going to give you a taste of things to come as we chat with the movers, the shakers, directors, and producers for the 12th Annual Annapolis Film Festival. That's what she tried to be so. I can't believe it has been a year, but we are sitting here on 108 or something like that, Annapolis Street, overlooking actually Agave, which wasn't open, I don't believe, last year. But we're here with Lee and Patti, the directors and the founders and the movers and the shakers of the Annapolis Film Festival, which is barreling down the calendar to us. It'll be here April 4th to 7th. And I'm excited, as always, to talk to you about the film festival. And we've got, 70 films or so, or...
Probably more.
More. We have more films than anybody has fingers and toes, and it's coming very soon, and I'm really excited for it because this is always my play hooky for 3 days kind of a thing. It's just like nothing on the calendar. This is what I do. And I think, as I told you last time, I've never made the best of the fest at the end just because I hit a wall with too many movies. So maybe this year there's always next year.
This year. Yeah.
First of all, congratulations on 12 years. Does it seem like it?
It's a dozen, and it's not cheaper by the dozen, let me tell you. But it's better by the dozen.
Does it seem like it's been 12 years to you guys?
No. Well, in some ways, yes. But you know what they say? They say a day with us is like a year with anyone else. So
good luck.
Some days it feels like it's been a very long time, and other days it seems like yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you, you've brought some great films through here. And I mean, I can't remember. You can tell the mark of a good festival when you sit there and you really can't remember the great films that come through because they're always replaced by the most recent great films that come through here. But I know, you had Chevalier last year, I believe it was, Flamin' Hot with Eva Longoria. You had Somewhere in Queens, which was Ray Romano's debut. The Grotto, which was kind of a fun little thing. And I got a chance to talk to Joanna Gleason, which I was really excited about. Out in the Ring. So, of course, you've got some controversy, which, it wouldn't be a film festival without something to,
of course not, have
controversy and to chat about. 2 Tickets to Greece. That was also another great one. That was a funny one. And you guys just do such a wonderful job. And each year you come up with a theme. And this year, according to the website, it's out of the box. So I got to ask, what's that all about?
It's about several different things, actually. We never want to be forced to be inside of a box. We want to be able to think and draw outside of the box all the time with the kinds of films that we take, the kinds of stories we're telling, and the kind of people that we have. And, we just don't want to be put into a certain role, like, oh, this is the film festival that does this. We try to do many different things and appeal to many different people. And this year, people have been in front of their television set for so long after the pandemic that they've glued to it. And so we want to get out of that box and get to the big screen. That's the first thing. The second thing is we just want to be able to tell stories that are not always on your front doorstep and not always on the television screen. Some things that we look at in different ways. For example, I'm just going to tell you, there are a lot of themed movies that came out this year that had to do with different aspects of a family and mother-daughter relationships, all kinds of different relationships told in different ways. And we have numerous films that tell that story, but completely differently.
I love the fact that you create the controversy. And this is not part of the film festival, but it's part of the Annapolis Film Society. And you had brought a film, your most recent one, which was
God and Country.
God and Country. And we published it. We said, hey, we've got this. It's a cool thing. Go to Maryland Hall, go in the Bowen Theater, see it. It's $15. But I got, some hate email on that, like, how dare you push this and everything else. And I'm like, this is exactly what you're doing. Okay. And my answer to them was like, okay, I don't like asparagus, so I'm not going to eat it. So don't go to the movie. That's fine for you. But it gets a conversation going.
We're not political. We just are showing different ways to tell a story. And this was a very riveting story that had to be told as a documentary.
But you do it every single year. Okay. When I stand in line at the end of every Annapolis Film Festival showing of whatever it is, it's not like at Landmark or AMC where the movie ends, you throw your popcorn in the trash and you head out to your car. you sit there, you're talking, you're like, wow, there's silence. I mean, there's like scratching the heads.
I think that's the job of a good filmmaker. And in light of what's happened with journalism, the role of filmmakers is even more important in our world now, because they're digging up and telling stories that might be overlooked, where people might be underserved or have no voice at all. But these are really important things that we should be aware of, learn about, and discuss.
Exactly. I will say another one that you did bring over the year was Morning in Laud.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was, again, a very deep movie for me. I enjoyed that incredibly. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about this year's Annapolis Film Festival and Out of the Box. And I know that this is going to be coming in on April 4th, and tickets are available now, but you can go to AnnapolisFilmFestival.org to pick them up. I know you can purchase passes, and I do recommend that is the way to go. And
passes are flying, so don't wait. I know that this town waits till 3 days before. If you wait till 3 days before, you're going to be in the ticket line because they're moving this year.
And the passes are great because, I mean, you can go in and out. If something happens to be sold out, you can move on to another one and you just move it very quickly. And I do recommend that it's the way that you do it. And you get a real cool lanyard and a cool little plastic thing to hang around your neck.
With your name on it.
Yeah, fancy. Let's talk about what have you got going? I know the big night is opening night, and obviously that's April 4th, but what's happening for opening night?
Oh, boy.
Well, I'll talk about the film. We can tell you what goes around all of it. The film we're excited because it's just hot off of Sundance. It was a big hit there. It's called Thelma, and it stars June Squibb, who's a 94-year-old actress, Academy Award-winning actress. She's been in this business a very long time, and she now has a lead role. And she's amazing in it. And the story is so inspiring and fun. It's a comedy. It's a dramedy, I should say. And it involves a grandmother. So she has the parents.
Sure.
And then
at
the
94,
grandson,
I would imagine she's not playing the teenager.
And the grandson and they're all helicoptering around her. And she has a close relationship with her grandson. And she is a widow. And she is living alone and happily living alone and doing very well. But of course, people don't trust you when you're old. They think something's going to happen. And then she gets caught up in this scam of some kind that happens to people. And they think, oh, you're old. You got caught up in a scam. But you know what? When nobody could solve the problem and she lost money, she decides to take things in her own hands. So it's a little Mission Impossible for the octogenarians, but it is really inspiring and a lot of fun, and people should just love this for opening night.
And that's great that you've got like a 94-year-old woman, and it's not like Mission Impossible where Tom Cruise doesn't age.
Exactly.
I don't think June does either, but she did wait this many years to get a lead role. So,
and we do have June and the director who are going to do a pre-recorded Q&A for us with Joe Newmeyer. So after the film, people will be able to get a dose of her.
You know, I love that you guys do the discussions after the films, and some of them are obviously pre-recorded depending on what the
availability.
She's on set working,
else.
so
she's on her next movie. That's why we couldn't bring her in person.
God
I want to be like
her.
that when I'm 94.
Bless her. So that's exciting. So that's again on April 4th, and that you always kick off the film festival with a soiree.
We do. There's a pre-reception for silver and gold pass holders that'll be at
industry
people that'll be at Maryland Hall prior to the red carpet, where this year we actually have a few known faces that will be walking the red carpet. We're pretty excited about. The red carpet is out in front of Maryland Hall, but we're also doing something very different for the after party this year, which has never been done in this town, but we like to always be the trailblazer.
You are. Absolutely.
Yes. And so we're holding it in a very unique place.
Ooh, that sounds like some intrigue. That's good.
Well, it goes with the theme for opening night.
Fantastic. Well,
so you'll have to wait and see.
Is there going to be booze and food?
Lots. We have the official
let's cut to the chase.
We have a live band. There'll be Tito's is the official vodka of opening night. Mount Gay rum. We have Dogfish Head beer, and but we also have Atlas Restaurant Group doing the food.
Oh wow! Are they doing all the food?
The after party. They're doing the after party.
That's great.
So it's going to be an exquisite evening. Hopefully everybody will just have as much fun as we've had in the past, if not more.
Fun is what you do have at the Annapolis Film Festival. I mean, you've got the parties, which is certainly not why you come to this. You come here for the films. You come here for the discussion. You come here to talk. and you've got a whole weekend to do it, a long weekend to do it, and the opportunity to see 70 or so films. And it is tough to get all of them. I mean, you're hustling.
This year's been the toughest, I think. Yeah. Because we came out of 2 strikes this year. I don't know if people remember. And we had
that's right. The SAG and the
SAG strike and the Writers Guild. So it's been, I have to give props to Patti and Derek and Avery, our programming team, because they've had to watch many, many more films to get the really great films. And that's just a lot of extra hours.
I guess that sort of impacted the whole industry.
Totally.
Like COVID did when it was shut down.
Yes, it had a huge impact on the industry, but the industry's bouncing back, and it takes a while, but it has affected a lot of the films, in some ways. I mean, of course, if you saw the Oscars, major films were made, sure. and it was a great year at the Oscars. But for independent films and for other films, it was hit and miss. There's some great ones, and there were some not so great ones. So we're hoping that we sift through enough that we picked the cream of the crop as much as we can. Also trying to go in different directions so you're not watching the same film over and over again,
True. But you guys do a really good job on that. How do you strong arm these movie makers to come to Annapolis? Not that Annapolis is like, oh gosh, I don't want to go to Annapolis, because you guys have made your mark on the industry. And I mean, you're a known venue and stuff, but how does one get a movie to the film festival?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, getting the movie and then getting the subjects are 2 different things. We do have a beautiful town on the water that is like gorgeous, pre-colonial, first capital of the U.S., but a lot of it's just relationships. And we tell them that we take care of filmmakers here, which has always been part of our fundamental philosophy, because we are filmmakers and we know what it's like when you're just left alone to your own devices at some festival in some big city and nobody helps you. So we really do take care of the filmmakers, and we have a growing reputation for that. And that means something.
Also, the distributors, it's working closely with the distributors. Yeah. And that's the relationship that we've made over the years. And we want to help the distributors by giving them the best platform for a film to be seen. And they want to help us by also bringing things into communities and, pre-advertising their films. So when they release, they get a little bump. And, we're always good about helping distributors. And like, if we've taken a film in our festival and we believe in that film, when it comes out into the theaters, we're going to give it a little bump. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about it and put it out in our information. But the other piece is that there's a lot of filmmakers, independent filmmakers today, that are first-time filmmakers. Even actors are trying to direct their own films. And we have an actor coming who's the first-time director of her own film, and we're very excited about it. She's also in it, and it's Jennifer Esposito.
You probably have seen her on Blue Bloods, NCIS, or The Affair most recently.
Okay. And she's awesome, and she's coming with the film, and I think also possibly with the younger lead actress.
Emily Bader.
I guess for an upcoming, it's a tough business. And I mean, certainly I know that your sons are involved in it, and it's a very difficult business. I imagine this is very similar to pro sports, that there's just such a very fine number of people that actually make it onto the point.
Well, it is a tough industry, and I think Jennifer's going to talk a lot about that. She'll also be doing the director's panel on Saturday.
The women's panel.
And the women's panel. So she has a lot to say because she's kind of an industry veteran, and it's taken her a long time to get here. And the film is really good.
Her film is Fresh Kills. Fresh Kills is what it's called.
That's the landfill
in Staten Island. And it's basically the 1980s mobster story. But it's seen, if you're watching The Sopranos or The Godfather, but this is a movie told from the female perspective. And it involves her daughter, her 2 daughters, and herself as the mom, and how they're viewing, understanding that the father is a mobster. So it's a very cool story. And they're going to be here to really bring it to life. So it's going to be our Friday night spotlight, and we're excited about it. This is a big cast.
It's so funny. And I mentioned before we started recording to Patti this, that, you get excited about these movies. Okay. And you guys have seen these, you've gone out, you've traveled the country looking for what's going to be the cream of the crop to bring to Annapolis.
Yep. Every little gem. We have another actress also coming. So I think it's really exciting for us because now we kind of feel like we're back to a pre-pandemic vibe of people traveling and wanting to be out and about. Right. So the other actress we have coming is...
Well, the film is I'll Be Right There. That's what it's called. And it's Edie Falco is the star of it. And she's coming. We're getting our own Nurse Jackie here.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And yeah. So we're very excited. She's I think going to come in Saturday and be here for the film and the Q&A. And we'll see what else. But I think Annapolis will be very welcoming.
Well, we've got a great town for it. I mean, it's easily walkable.
Yeah.
It's the weather, even when it rains, it's beautiful here, and it's not going to rain, of course, during the Annapolis Film Festival.
Another film that is also an actor turned first time director that we have is Tony Goldwyn. You remember him from Scandal? He played the president.
Oh yes.
He's directed a film called Ezra, and that film is based on the real life story of his best friend who has an autistic son. So the film stars Bobby Cannavale, Rose Byrne, Robert De Niro, and Tony, and a few other known faces that you'll see in there. And it's a very heartwarming kind of family drama with Bobby Cannavale plays sort of a, not washed up, but struggling stand-up comedian trying to deal with raising this son.
Well, they're separated. The parents are separated, so it's back and forth. And the 12-year-old autistic son, who is played by an autistic boy, not the actual son, but he's played by an autistic actor.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So
it's
very
the
good.
grandfather.
Right.
De Niro's great.
Yeah. So that's another fun film. And that's a spotlight as well. And so is I'll Be Right There. And then we have our other spotlight is Suze, which is a Canadian film. That's another comedy that's quite enlightening. Michaela Watkins is the star of that. It's another mother-daughter family kind of relationship story, but it takes a twist in a different direction. So the daughter is going off to college, and she has a boyfriend that the mother just can't really tolerate, But when she goes off to college and the girl spreads her wings, she dumps the boyfriend, and the boyfriend has some very mental health issues after that. And the father doesn't seem to care. And somehow she ends up taking this kid in that she couldn't stand.
Oh no.
So now you get a whole other, that's what I'm saying, out of the box. These are family dramas that go in quirky directions that do not follow the theme of any normal thing that could happen.
I think it's funny though, as you were talking about that and sort of describing that film. I mean, I think everybody can see some of themselves. I mean, you talk about somebody that has, has a child with special needs, and it's challenging. Let's face it. Okay, a lot of times those relationships do end in divorce. Now, one person, that's very prevalent.
We also have Wildcat, which is another spotlight.
Another film with known actors: Ethan Hawke and his daughter Maya Hawke.
Is that basketball? Wildcats?
And it's based on what's her name?
It's the work of Flannery O'Connor.
Flannery O'Connor,
as she struggles to create her first ever novel.
Oh.
And it's sort of got 3 vignettes in the story. Laura Linney's in it as well, and it's a lovely film. And it's interesting. We're showing it at St. John's because with Flannery O'Connor, this is the place where the great books are studied. So we felt that was the perfect match for where to show this film.
You said St. John's, so that's a good segue into the venues. I know that you have. I mean, St. John's was under construction for years. Right. It seemed like decades, but it was, and it's a wonderful venue. But you said, so we've got Key Auditorium at St. John's?
Yes, we're back, not for the entire time. We're back for a couple shows Friday, one show Saturday, then all day Sunday. So the Jewish Experience with bagels, lox, and coffee breakfast is in the lobby of St. John's this year.
Like it always was.
Right. Yeah. We're back. And we have thank you to the new president, Nora, for welcoming us back to St. John's.
Nora Demleitner is great.
Yeah, she's been fantastic with us, and we appreciate the relationship that we're building.
So the Jewish Experience is coming back as far as one of the showcases.
The Jewish Experience this year is going to be, we actually have a short film. The winner of our last year's Shorts Challenge, Josh Green and Luke Harris, who did the film You Will Not Replace Us, they're bringing that film back to premiere here. And that's going to be a short that runs before the Jewish Experience. And it's also going to run before the Black Experience because it is the story of Jews and Blacks and how that relationship has evolved over the years. Okay. So that film will run before each experience. And the film that's going to follow is called Unbroken, which is Beth Lane's new film about her family. And this is her journey with her older relatives that are left to discover what happened to this. Her mother was the youngest of 7 who escaped, and they would escape in Berlin. I guess they were in Berlin for part of the time outside of it, and then they were hidden on farms, and this was just 7 children.
Very young children.
Very young children with this family being hidden and taken, and old footage. And I mean, it's fascinating. It's such an inspiring film. It's not depressing. I mean,
not at all.
It takes you through the elements of their lives.
And they get to the U.S. and then they're adopted out. So
they're fostered out.
Out.
One gets adopted, and then when she's adopted, she doesn't see her family for 40 years, and that's part of the coming back together. So this is quite an interesting experience.
Environmental sailing is coming back as well,
yes.
Because we're in Annapolis. We hug trees,
of course,
and we hug sailboats.
Not only do we hug trees, we care about dirt, because this year's film's called Common Ground, and it is about regenerative farming and how the depleted soils are really impacting everything from our nutrition to growing food and vegetables. So it leaves you with actionable things that you can do yourself that really make you feel like it's not like you walk away and go, okay, that's overwhelming and that's sad. Right. I don't know what I'm going to do. You actually feel like you understand something that you hadn't even thought about. And it's really done in a very fast-paced, interesting way. A lot of times environmental films are kind of slow. This one is not. So I would suggest seeing Common Ground.
Common Ground. We'll put that right down on my list.
Very
as
well done. And for the sailing showcase, it's actually Gary Jobson is bringing back a film that he made in 2012 and for Mystic Seaport, and it really hasn't been shown anywhere. And it's the story of Irving and Electi Johnson and how they took young people from 16 to 24 and sailed around the world for a year and a half. With each voyage that they went on, they took these young people, and the footage, it's old footage that takes these young people all over the world. I mean, you're in some far off island in the Polynesia.
South Pacific.
You're all over, and it's these kids learning how to sail and things happening to them along the way. And Gary, of course, will host and narrate. So this is going to be pretty exciting, and it's a real adventure. You get to see the world through this film. He also has a short film in our Meta Cinema.
That's right.
We have a special presentation of 3 short films about where medicine is going. And he did the short on how to win a Nobel Prize, and it's about development of cancer treatments. So, and there are 2 other films in that. One is a Native American film.
Tattoo on the Brain.
And one is Alzheimer's related.
Neat.
So
Meta Cinema. And then, of course, not entirely new, but definitely not to be forgotten or overlooked. We have the Latin Experience. Again, last year we had Flamin' Hot as that, but this year...
Was that an experience last year?
It was.
Well,
we hadn't
really introduced it, but we were bringing it in there.
So now it's official, and our Latin Experience has multiple films in it, one of which is called All We Carry. And it is a really warm, wonderful look at supporting people that are fleeing from violence from South America. So a young couple comes and they end up outside of Seattle, and they're embraced by a Jewish synagogue who puts them in this gorgeous house on the lake, helps them with every aspect of what they need to assimilate. They have lawyers that are helping them become naturalized citizens. They're finding jobs. And it's just such a wonderful, heartwarming film about how if you embrace people in the right way, they can really contribute and give back to the community. It's beautiful.
So that's one of the things we're excited about with that film.
Musica.
Musica is a lovely film from Cuba. And it's about the instruments that are repaired, that we're repairing here in this country and had been sending to Cuba. And now, because our relationships with Cuba have changed, they weren't letting the instruments back in. And it affected this youth orchestra there, that these kids that were trying to become musicians and didn't have anything to play. So they started to bring them back in again, and little by little. But
I think one of my favorite moments is when they bring the Cuban kids to New Orleans and they see a city where people play music in the streets too.
That's awesome.
It's really cool. And we're excited about both of those films, and we plan to reach out to our audience there and make sure that there's some gifts that are some tickets that are given to some of the underserved communities.
By the way, we have a short in the Latinx
Yes, Lee and I have a short that we made
in Cuba
in
Now,
2011.
how did you get that in this film festival?
Well, yeah.
We
Actually,
completely
Derek decided
absolved ourselves.
Derek looked at it. It's this like 12-minute film or 11-minute film. Yeah, it's short. And we haven't looked at it in probably 12 years. And he looked at it and said, this should go with Musica. It's perfect. It's called Cuba Ahora.
Cuba Now.
Which is Cuba Now, which was then. Okay. So this is kind of Cuba Now and Cuba Then, except ours is called. And it's interesting because it shows a lot of the music part of Cuba. Some of our
and the young
people were in it, were in the music area.
Sounds like it does go with music.
So it kind of sets up the mindset and the understanding of just what was happening in Cuba before you meet these kids in Musica. So it fit in the program, but it's kind of funny that
I think it's really great that you've expanded into this Latin experience, and because you look at the population of Anne Arundel County and certainly in Annapolis, and I mean I think we're at about 15% population as far as an Hispanic population. So
we have a documentary this year that we just took. This is going to be big, and it takes place in Australia about these kids that are neurodivergent, but really on the spectrum for autism. And it's their struggle for a year that they have to put on a play, a musical. And it's how difficult and the challenging and the way the teachers work with them and it's really a wonderful film.
But we also have like global and international. We have homage to Ukraine this year. There's a wonderful film called Taste of Freedom, based on a true story about a young woman who was a chef in Ukraine and started feeding people when the Russians invaded. And she was really trying to stick with local cuisine and sort of elevate it to a culinary art form. So this is the story of her and how she became the chef of Ukraine. It's wonderful. It's gorgeous to look at. It's beautifully shot and filmed. And
it's about a young girl who comes over and she's trying to follow the cookbook of this woman who became
Miss Olga.
Yeah, Miss Olga. But she herself was a rural girl, came to a town and decides she wants to cook a certain way. But it takes us into Ukraine in a way that we haven't been in there.
Sure.
So
we see it on the news at night.
In a positive way and in a way to understand the people a little more. And who doesn't like things about food?
Sure.
Borscht has never meant so much before. And then we have this amazing film called Medea,
Medea is coming.
Medea is about a young girl who was actually kidnapped by ISIS for 5 years? Was it 5?
I think it was 3 years.
3 years.
I think she was gone.
And she kept a video diary during her, while she was captured. And she will be here along with the director Hassan, which is going to be an amazing experience.
How old is she now?
She's in her 20s, early 20s, but she's in this country right now. So we're able to have her come here, and she has a translator with her, and I think it's going to be an interesting experience. And we're showing that at Asbury, which will be a wonderful, intimate place. We're showing it twice, and so people who want to see that and see Medea and see the film, it's going to be pretty cool.
I'll throw out a plug for Asbury, because don't let that scare you, because obviously for some reason it's the most comfortable pewed church I've ever been into.
People love seeing movies there.
It's cozy.
I'm looking like, oh, do I really want to sit on a pew for 2 hours? And I'm like, this is not bad.
Now, people have told me that this is one of their favorite places to go watch a movie.
The acoustics are great.
Acoustics are great, and you can be comfortable, and it feels intimate, and it's not, but you're not on top of everybody. It's great.
Your different venues. At Maryland Hall, we've got the upper and lower theaters, right? We've got the Bowen Theater down on the lower level, and you've got the main theater up top. Mm-hmm. Asbury United Methodist Church, which is on that
87 West Street.
Is that the second block of West Street, I guess it is, as you come off of the circle. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Annapolis? Are you doing that again this year?
Largest gym in Anne Arundel County. So we're turning that into another 400-seat theater again.
And we're taking care of, we're making the theaters sound comfortable, so the sound is good, and the seating. We're trying to improve seating every year. We try to
Boys
do
and
the
Girls
best.
Club screen is 30 feet. It's as big as the one at Maryland Hall.
Oh, my word.
We've also upgraded this year. We only have one digital theater left. We've been trying to each year add a DCP venue because films are always encrypted now because of piracy. So we're trying to become ultimately all DCP so we can get everything we want.
DCP is?
Digital Cinema projection, but it's encrypted. So I don't think people realize the complication of the process of, we block all this and there's slotting. Then our whole tech team, which is 2 guys named Chris and Paco, who are amazing. And they work at places like Sundance and Telluride, and then they drop in here. They got here a week ago. And their job is there are certificates for each machine that identify the machine, and that gets mailed to Deluxe, and keys are ordered after the distributor says we've paid the license fee, and the keys come, and it unlocks the film for a 4-hour window on that day on that machine only, times over 70 films.
Man, I always thought it was just like a little projector, like a little desktop projector on an Amazon account.
Also, I wanted to not forget the other person that's coming. We have a film called Call Me Dancer.
Oh, right.
It's a documentary, and it takes place in India. It begins in India about 2 boys that are trying to be dancers, ballet dancers, and it follows one of them, Manish, the closest, and he is struggling with his family who doesn't want him to be a dancer. They want him to get a real job, because they're worried about
be a taxi driver and take care of your parents.
Right. So they want him to do that. And he goes on, but he's in love with dancing, and he sticks with it. And he meets the new coach that comes in, the new ballet instructor, who's his Israeli, and he was a big famous ballet dancer in Israel. And he's come to India, and he's giving all these young people so much encouragement. And he really lights in with Manesh and this other boy. I can't remember his name. And he ends up taking them to Tel Aviv at one point, and they study dancing there in Tel Aviv, and they end up in New York. And the fact is that
at Juilliard.
Manish is coming with the film here.
He'll be here
for Saturday night. Yeah. So that film will play at Maryland Hall, and it's a lovely, lovely film.
We also have a couple family-friendly films. We have a really great film called Empire Waist, as in if you're a fashion designer.
Okay.
It's a cut of a dress. Okay. And it's about 2 friends from high school, and they're both overweight. And one's white, one's black, and they're together. And then the one friend opens the closet of her friend, and there are a whole bunch of amazing outfits, and they're all size 10. None of which she can wear because they're these chubby girls. And she says, "You're amazing. Look at your talent. Start dressing me." And she's even bigger than the other girl. So she starts creating outfits for her. And then they find this whole ragtag group of misfits, outcasts at the school, and start doing fashion for them. And they become the cooler kids.
Well, the film is truly about bullying. It's about bullying and in this space of weight, and how it feels in a school. In fact, this is going to be our educational day film, too.
But there will also be a public screening of it.
There'll be a public screening as well. But it does involve that, and it's an inspirational kind of way to see how these kids come together, and kids who are considered the other, sort of find their way to a group. And this girl finds her way to trust herself and to have some power inside of herself to be able to do this.
To deal with it. You'd mentioned the educational day, and that's, again, another thing that I love about the Annapolis Film Festival is that you're giving back. Okay, you mentioned that you want to be able to get out into some of the lower income communities, get them in there, into the Black Showcase, into the Latin community, to get them there. But you also reach out to the schools and the education because you bring them in. I know that last year, I think it was Flamin' Hot was the one there.
Right. We keep that for the students, and
you've had several of them as well. I know that you had King Richard at one year.
Yep.
And I think that's just wonderful because it opens the eyes to students who normally wouldn't get a chance to come out here to say, wow, this is the power of a film.
Right. You nailed it earlier, John, when you said it's really about the Q&As and the discussions that bring the film to life after. So it's like a film field trip for the kids. And then there's always somebody to have a discussion that frames everything in the film and that they can engage with. So that's really special.
What was really special, and I hate to dwell on last year, but when I was looking at Flaming Hot, but it was so cool to see the interaction. You don't see that in the theaters. Where you pay your, $20 or whatever it is to get into a theater. Mm-hmm. The kids saw the empowerment. I can't remember the name of the character that was, as he was going through and developing the Cheetos and stuff like that, when he was having these successes, Doritos, not Cheetos, I'm sorry.
Right.
But, was having the successes as he's going on. You had the audience, which did have a good a Latin,
Right.
proportion. They're like, yes, this is great. And they're resonating with it. They're going, oh my gosh, that's my granddad.
Yes, it's true. I mean, and that's the thing. We think a lot of young people will really know what that feels like to be on the receiving end of being bullied or not accepted. It's a universal theme. How many films are based on the bullies and the good guys, And then we have Puff and Rock, which is an animated kid film, and Puff and Rock and the New Friends for little kids. And we have an amazing other film based on a true story coming out of East Texas. It's called Possum Trot. That doesn't sound scintillating, but Possum Trot is a little town in East Texas. So there was a minister and his wife who are called to start taking in foster kids. And they bring in a couple of kids and they realize just what they're doing as they come to understand the real trauma and abuse the kids have suffered. And one day he's so overwhelmed, he challenges the entire congregation to all take on these kids because there are not enough homes for the kids in the foster care system. The whole town starts taking in kids. So this is a true story. It's a narrative film, but it's based on a true story. And altogether, they save 77 children.
Wow.
Yeah, and that is a true story. And they'll be here. The directors will be here who did that. We have a lot of directors coming in actually with films. We also have a really cool film we actually haven't seen yet. But to be honest with you.
So what's it about, Patti?
But we've seen clips of it. So we know what it's about. We've seen clips of it. But it was breathtakingly accepted and exalted at Sundance. And it's called Every Little Thing. It's a documentary about hummingbirds, but it's supposed to be so special that we just couldn't resist.
I'm guessing spectacular photography.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. I think it has a lot to do with, human nature too. I think there's a tie-in. I think there's a lot to be said about this film, and we're happy. We're really excited to have it, to be honest with you. So that is a doc we have. We have some really good documentaries. We have First We Bombed New Mexico, which is coming off the win of Oppenheimer.
Lois Lippman's coming.
So after that film, this was the Trinity, the bombing in Trinity in New Mexico, when all the Native Americans that were living there were affected by this, and this is their plight now and what they're going through and what the legislation is ahead that has to be taken care of. So,
but it's very eye-opening. And we also have another amazing film called A New Kind of Wilderness.
Yeah,
That's is one of Patti's favorites.
I love it. It's Norwegian, and I have to say I had a Norwegian grandmother, so I have a special connection. But this film is about a family that lived off the grid. They had a little farmette, but they basically spent most of their lives in the forest near their home. And the kids were raised that way, and they were young, but, elementary school age kids. And one daughter with them that was older, that was from the wife's first marriage. And they're in and out and having the time of their lives, and that's how they live. And then the mom dies. This is early in the film, so I'm not giving anything away. And then the father basically has to deal with, how do you take care of these kids, and should they now go to school or not? Because they've lived off
in the woods for...
This is a documentary, so this is not a feature, a narrative. So
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting film.
I think it's funny that you said, it did so well at Sundance and stuff like that. And again, that speaks to the caliber of the films that you're going to see here. Okay, I mean, Sundance arguably is probably the most famous film festival in the world.
Yeah, but it's not the only good one.
No. But it's the most. It's the one that people know. That and Cannes, I think, are probably the two.
Yeah. Right.
That we're getting this caliber of films.
We have films out of Telluride, Sundance,
South by
Southwest,
Palm Springs,
and festivals that and Toronto. So a lot of the big festivals, and then we have films that we're discovering ourselves that we're bringing here that haven't really been seen very many places.
That's exciting. Are you guys doing the shorts program again this year? Obviously,
absolutely.
The shorts are phenomenal. We have 4 different, how Derek does his themes.
Right. He's been here for
7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. A long time.
And he does a masterful job on these short films. We have so many good ones this year. You just are going to love it.
The Shorts 1 program's called It's the Journey, Not the Destination. Shorts 2 is Growing Up is Hard to Do. 3 is Ignorance is Bliss. 4 is Karma's a Bitch. You can guess what that one's about.
Right. And that's a later night one.
Yeah. And then there's always the student shorts and local focus. The shorts, I don't know if people realize how many of the short films we've had have been nominated for Academy Award over the years. Many of the films we had first, then were later nominated.
The competition is still on?
Oh, yes.
The Shorts Challenge is in high gear. And
we had more submissions than ever before this year.
And you said that you've got somebody that won last year. Josh Green is showing his. Did he do the surfing one last year?
Yes, he did.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And they'll be back. They'll be back to premiere their films, which is what we do, and also they'll introduce the Shorts Challenge this year. We'll have them introduce the Shorts Challenge.
That's great because
handing.
I've been there, done that. Here's the T-shirt, and
I do want to shout out to the people that make that possible. We have a lot of vendor partners that are part of the award for the winner of the Shorts Challenge. So Maryland Film Office always supports this program because they're interested in showing that we have all the resources here in Maryland to make good films. So
and our big supporter, Jack Gerbis, who's been a big supporter of ours for years.
Yeah. And then we have Red Star, who provides camera gear and lots of other things. Serious Grip and Electric lighting. We have Studio Unknown and the sound department, which is either in Catonsville or LA, but they will do sound design, mix, and all of the audio work on the film. And then Henninger Media, which is in Northern Virginia, has volunteered video post-production and color grading. So it's tens of thousands of dollars worth of the prize. Is worth a lot for them to launch their career as a short filmmaker and have a piece of work to show. So we're really committed to helping people get started because that's the hardest thing.
Buy your passes and buy your tickets and come attend the film festival, but you also have sponsors too as well. And you can't do it without sponsors.
We would be dead in the water without our sponsors.
This is I'm going to be really frank here. It's 12 years and this is probably the toughest year of fundraising we've ever had because everything costs more. All the COVID relief for the arts money is gone. And what we're finding, our trend is people have given for many years are giving half of what they've mostly given in the past. So we need new people to come forward and support this. We are still largely funded primarily by individual donors. We like corporate donors. A lot of that's in kind. But honestly, we need cash. This does not run on its own, and we do not run on oxygen, and art is not free.
And we're not a big city, so we don't get automatic big donors that come into big cities. So we have to hunt and peck in a different way to get our donors. So we appreciate them so much, but people have to understand that we know that there'd be a mutiny if we let this festival go away. You know what I mean? People love it now and they want it and we want it for them, but it just doesn't happen in the blink of an eye.
When people see those names on the screen this year, I hope they go up and thank those people because they're the ones that have made it possible for all of us to enjoy this. So when somebody underwrites a film, that covers the film license fee, part of the setup, the travel, the transportation, the hotels, everything that we do to bring the filmmakers to town for 4 days. So we are enormously grateful. We are still looking for long-term partnerships. If anybody out there, there's still time to be a sponsor. So
yeah, you'll
honestly,
be on the screen if you
want to put you on the screen 55 times and do a lot more for you. We're really, really grateful. And I'm going to say this too. We are the best film festival in the region. So if you want to pick one to support, pick this one.
This is the one. Yeah. Who are some of the sponsors this year?
Our new official car is BMW of Annapolis. Tito's is back. Synergix Films since day one, every year for 12 years. Thank you.
He's been here with us.
Maryland Film Office, Maryland State Arts Council, Anne Arundel County Arts Council, City of Annapolis. I don't think people, I'm going to say this, I don't think people realize that it costs about $1 million to do this. And then they see tens of thousands of people in attendance and they think, oh, they're flush. They're doing fine.
We have a new sponsor this year. They're great. The Geis Foundation.
Yes, the big sponsor of the year. It's the Brian and Patricia Geis Foundation. They're kind of new to town and they really understand our vision for how we can impact a community collectively. So honestly, we wouldn't be here without them.
Yeah. Totally grateful.
It's just been an amazing journey year after year to understand why people want to support sharing important stories and the work of these artists that work many times for years and years and years to bring a film to life. So this is the celebration. They get to come and exhibit it and we have DTA Global, who's been our AV sponsor for 7 or 8 years now. They're excellent at what they do. Maryland Hall's been a big partner. Asbury's been an ongoing partner. The Graduate is our signature hotel. Also this year we're working with Hilton Garden Inn and DoubleTree and Crown Plaza. So all of this really matters. Ram's Head's been amazing. 49 West, we had our first meetings in the back room there to talk about what would it be like to make a film festival happen in Annapolis.
13 years ago.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. So the groundswell of support, and we really didn't know after the pandemic how we would do. So I'm just totally upfront. The year after was a little wonky. Last year, our pass and ticket sales doubled, thankfully, but it's still about 10%. But we still need people to come. So tickets are $20. If you're an AFS member, a student, or a senior, they're $18. A pass is $195. That opening night ticket's $60. So if you get the pass, you get into opening night and the after party and unlimited films
and Best of Fest.
And if you want to upgrade and go to more parties, get a premium pass for $350. But if you're an AFS member, it's only $300.
Well, you talked about the AFS. What's that?
So the Film Society has been sort of, it's kind of our umbrella, I mean, we're their umbrella, but in most film festivals, it's the other way around. But we started the festival first and the Film Society came second. But the Film Society is just an extension of our arms, So when we're saying we're giving you this for 4 days and enjoy it, now we're saying we're giving you this for a year, because it may not be, all those amount of films coming in, but every month we're going to have a film for you or something. And sometimes we take a month off here or there because it's the festival, or it's summer and no one's around.
Or it's December and we can't get a booking at Maryland Hall.
Exactly. And but for the most part, we're going to try to bring, new films to you or important things to see throughout the year. And therefore sponsors can be, on the screen, and people can still be part of this. Also, we get new audiences at the Film Society, people that haven't even come to the festival before. So it's really interesting. They'll come to the Film Society screening because they saw it and they want to see that film. And then they find out about the festival. So what we really want to do with this Film Society is make it a part of not just the festival, but a part of the community. And so, this is where you'll go, where you'll see a film and maybe hear a conversation that we might be able to do more of. Maybe there'll be workshops in the future. If we ever get a home base that anyone wants to build us a theater or an office, like that kind of thing, we can do so much more.
And that's the things that you bring every month. Mostly every month to Maryland Hall.
Right.
And those films are wonderful. And it just really sort of extends, as you mentioned, your arms or your tentacles beyond the 4 days here. Right. And you can get information at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. Mm-hmm. And
it's not too late to join. We will be doing a membership drive during the film festival for anybody that doesn't know about the Film Society. You get discounts on your pass, you get discounts on tickets, and you get early access to buying tickets to the Film Society, so you're notified before everybody else. And it's just a way to support film all year long. We will be doing just a donor awareness drive, but we have another exciting announcement that I guess I can share here.
As they look blindly at each other going, oh no, what's she going to say?
I can
what
say
is she
this.
going to say?
We are in partnership with the Community Foundation of Anne Arundel County, who has embraced us in being able to announce and launch the first ever Annapolis Film Festival Endowment Fund, which means that's not money we get now. It's money for the future,
Mm-hmm.
of the festival. But our initial goal is to raise at least $25,000 in the next 3 years, which I think is very doable. And they will take houses, stock, crypto. It is part of our strategic plan. We have to have a sustainability and sort of plan. I mean, obviously, we've been doing this 12 years. We're not getting any younger. We want this to go on. We didn't want all this hard work to just disappear one day because something happens to one of us.
This is a legacy thing. This should go long past us. And
Yeah.
this is not just about us. I mean, we're running it now because we're here and we know everything there is to know about this because we've lived it for 12 years. But there are people who are doing festivals all over the world, and there'll be people who can follow us too. This festival needs to stay as part of the fabric of Annapolis for years to come.
You are the fabric of Annapolis, and you are the laying the groundwork, and you're just the caretakers of it for a little bit.
We're lucky to be the stewards of it, and it's
Right.
really great. Like, even just looking at your face, get excited at talking about the experiences you've had that you remember that paint vivid memories in your mind, or films you've seen, or filmmakers you've got to hang out, had a chance to hang out with. That's why we do this, John.
I never knew what a film festival was before I came to the Annapolis one. And I've been to a couple, not many, but it's just a real different experience. I mean, if anybody is listening has thinks a film festival is a bunch of movies that are showing in the theater. Okay, we're in theater 1, theater 2, theater 3, theater 4, and you get your popcorn, go to the bathroom, and go home.
Us.
No, it's not. They don't sell one box of Milk Duds, much to my dismay here. But
that's an idea for funding. Milk Duds.
The Milk Dud food truck. But it really is a different experience. And again, everything is, in my mind, has sort of rolled into one. I mean, I do remember Jamesy Boy was one of the very first films that was out there. I remember LBJ. I just remember so many of these.
You like my kids' films
that have come. Yeah. The Post. What was the one?
Post, right.
They remember. And I liken it sort of to my trip when I went to China with my son. I didn't particularly care for it when I was there. But as I'm more removed from it, I'm like, oh, do you remember when we were in Shanghai when we did that? Do you remember when we were in Beijing and we saw that? Do you remember when we were? And you sit there and you think, and things trigger things and say, oh my gosh, you sit there and you were talking about the youth orchestra, from Cuba and Musica. I mean, these are memories that you're going to keep with you. You may not be in the front of your mind, right, but do it. I mean, come out and see these.
They evolve us. They grow us because we're learning and seeing things. We're not traveling to all these places all the time. So we're learning, and we're just by human nature, just by sitting in there and watching and experiencing it, we're taking it in. It's becoming part of our DNA and our existence. And that is how you evolve a community.
We're really proud of that. We're proud of being still the largest and most diverse arts event all year. And I feel like we had a go big or go home attitude the first year. It was a little too big, and we almost didn't go home.
We almost went home, and we've been trying not to go home.
Remind us never to do 96 films again. But we do know now we have perspective with 12 years, so we know that we have changed hearts and minds, that we have strengthened the fabric of our community, that we have brought people together in ways that perhaps they wouldn't have come together. And that we're really proud of.
You mentioned that, Lee, about the bringing people together. And we live in a very divisive world. Totally. The world is going to get a little bit more divisive
in November
as we move forward.
Yeah,
the film festival does have a unique way of bringing people together.
You don't feel that when you're at this film festival. You don't feel that kind of stuff, even though the films might be, controversial and edgy. You don't feel
they're
that
not.
way.
I mean, you sit there and you go with one that is focused on, we'll say the plight of a Black story or something like that, and then you're talking with somebody in the line afterwards or in the lobby afterwards. And I know I catch myself more often than not going, well, I didn't see it that way. Mm-hmm. And there's a guy exactly what I'm talking and.
Exactly.
It's not like, because you're the,
that's the shared conversation thing.
It really
is.
It really is. I know we want to wrap up, but I know that Lee, you said you had to go someplace, but the other thing that's in here is you've got the discussions and coffee talks and stuff like that.
We're doing coffee talks this year. It'll be at the Ram's Head, and we'll have probably a different host each day. And not sure exactly who they're going to be yet, but it'll be good. This is a great place because we bring in the filmmakers that are generally the ones that have a film coming out that day or night. Will sit on that 9 to 10 in the morning. They'll come for a cup of coffee. They'll sit up on the stage with a couple of their peers, other filmmakers, and they'll be asked questions, and they're going to answer them differently than they answer them when they're in Q&As. So they're not representing their film. They're just chatting about the industry, about themselves, about their own experiences, and they say funny things. It's people love it because it's more intimate and it's just casual. And that's what we love about coffee.
And it's more engaging.
And then you've got the panels too. And that's where you guys hold
the panels. And we have great panels this year. The first one is how to cast, which is really cool.
Okay.
Because
I got my fly rod in the trunk.
It's fishing for the right actor in your film. That's what it is. And we're going to have directors on that panel. It's not just a casting director who makes the decision.
No.
Or the director. Sometimes it's the producer, and it can be the writer. But it takes a lot, and we're going to have some interesting people on that panel. I'm not going to go into it now.
Let me sing on this one, the next one.
Okay.
It takes two, baby. It takes two, baby.
We probably should have let Patti
Me and you.
It Takes Two is about the couples that do films together, and some of them are married. Some of them are like sisters or brother and sister or whatever the relationship is. It's the close relationship, but they're not just a producer and a director. It's writing and directing together, which is the vision, the total vision of how the film gets laid out through script and on set. And then also it's like who takes what role, because you can't. Two people generally don't. It gets confusing if two people are directing into an ear of an actor. But so somebody takes one role and somebody takes another role. So we're going to dive into this and see how these several different couples,
two people,
exist.
One vision.
And then also the other panels are Where Do We Go From Here, which is about the future of filmmaking, which includes AI and all these other things that we're up against, which is going to be interesting. And then our last one is Truth Be Told, which is the documentary about documentary filmmaking in a post-truth society, because documentary is all about
the truth.
So this is the world that we're up against.
Interesting. And where are these going to be held?
The Powerhouse, right across from the main entrance of the Graduate on the first floor.
Okay.
Friday. And they go from 10:30 in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
And then there's the Directors Roundtable on Saturday, which sounds like what it is.
Right.
But we have some amazing directors that'll be talking about what it takes to lead
the challenges of
making a film,
getting it to the screen. And then we have the women's panel, which is called Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow. And we're going to have women from each generation talking about that journey into
evolution
in this industry. And
interesting. And then you've got the Saturday Night Bash.
Saturday Bash. Oh, it's still at the Trophy Room, but boy, do we have a hot DJ this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We will be dancing to the tunes of DJ Jay Claxton.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that.
And we also announced the Shorts Challenge winner there.
Right. That was so funny. That's funny to see the excitement that builds there.
Yeah. You can feel it coming in the air.
But John, I want you to get through Sunday and actually still see movies. So our closing night film is an Anne Hathaway film. So maybe we can tempt you.
No, I've done the closing night film.
Best of Fest?
Never done the Best of Fest.
Well, the idea of you is the closing night film. And that's Anne Hathaway. And she's great in it. And it's a cool film.
Everybody needs to go to AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. Get your tickets. They're available now. Passes. Way to go. I can't emphasize it as enough. And I will say that when you get there, when you get to the film festival, don't be a stick in the mud and watch the film and leave. Be a stick in the mud, sit there, interact with the people that are going to be talking after the presentations, interact with the people that watch that share that experience with you, because it's not a movie, it's an experience that you're doing. And that's what life's all about, is really experiences. It doesn't matter whether you're traveling or whether you're sitting in this chair for 2 hours or in a pew at Asbury United Methodist Church, which is unusually comfortable. Do it, experience it. It's a very special 4 days here in Annapolis. Again, April 4th to April 7th. And I think how many films do we have? 70?
Over 70. If you count all the shorts.
And over 70 guests coming.
And me.
And you.
It has to be you. You've been with us from the beginning, John.
Get your passes at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. And I guess we're going to see you guys at the movies, huh?
We'll
I
see
sure
you
hope
at the
so.
movies.
And remember, passes and tickets for the Annapolis Film Festival are available right now at AnnapolisFilmFestival.org. I've got mine, you get yours, and I'll see you at the movies.
It doesn't matter who you are. There are stars in every city, in every house and on every street.